welcome to Crochet, a Canadian crochet podcast. I'm your hostess, Claudia. I hail from the base of the Rocky Mountains in southern Alberta, Canada, and I love to crochet. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hopefully you're watching this on Wednesday. Otherwise, I hope you're just watching it at all, but I hope you are having a great day today. And if not, if there's anything that you would like to chat about, please let me know. I'm happy to be a listening ear to anybody that might need it. But I hope you're having a good time. Today I am wearing my poncho that was made with the Bernat Wavelengths yarn. It is still, I wear this all the time, absolutely all the time. It is not good in the wind because of the granny square or granny shape that it is. But when I'm in the house, it's great. When it's not windy, it's great. I love it. I get compliments about it while I'm out. And that's not the reason that I wear things, is to get compliments, but I do get them. The reason I mention the wind is it's super windy here today. It's not Chinooking, but it is very windy. The clouds are really puffy, and we've actually had quite a bit of rain come through in April, which for Alberta is a bit uncharacteristic. Usually our rainy season is in June. Like, it usually starts like about June 2nd, and then it tapers off a good amount by about the 28th. But so we have, 26 days sort of where it rains quite a bit, and then it's really dry other than that. So it's not that we don't get rain in even March. It's not very common, and we just don't get it all that often. So that is that, but that's what I'm wearing. Let's start with finished items today. So I wasn't working on a lot last week, as you know, if you watched. And if you didn't, go ahead and watch. But I finished my personal neck gaiter for being outside, running, hiking, snowshoeing, wintertime activities, autumn, that kind of thing. And so yeah, I've sewed the edge up, so that is all finished. My ends are woven in, and it is this lovely, fairly stretchy tube. That's as far as it goes. And I did not block it. I said I was going to, but I didn't bother. Like I say, for so many of my own personal projects, it doesn't bother me to have something that is slightly imperfect. So yeah, so you can see that side's a little bit funny and that side's a little bit funny. Because like I was saying last time, is that I had a more even stitch tension on the ends than in the middle, and it was harder to frog this because this was a roving wool, and I actually have the tag. This was the wool that I made it with. And this is the back. So yeah, because it doesn't say roving that I can tell on this label, but it was like roving wool. Unless roving has another name or something like that I'm just not aware of. Anyway, not important. It just made it hard to frog, so I wasn't going to frog it just to fix the stitch tension again, because it's something for myself. And when you're wearing this, no one's going to be able to tell that the one side is a little bit longer than the other. But if this was for somebody else, better believe it, I would take it apart. So the thing I like about this is you can fold it like a tube. You could have it half size if you wanted. So it's just like this around my neck. And then if it's really cold, I would have, okay, doesn't be else. If it's really cold, and what I consider really cold is like minus 35, and I'm probably not going to be going snowshoeing or hiking or anything like that. I wouldn't even be outside. That is cold. But let's say really cold for appropriate weather, be like minus 25. I would probably have my face covered. Yeah, it depends how sunny it is. Anyway, we'll say around minus 15. That's when I would fold this in half, and then I would have another scarf underneath. Any colder than that, you lift it up like that, and it would cover, and then tuck this all inside and everything like that. Yeah, so it's pretty. I added a bit of a border on the bottom here. I don't love how it works, but it's going to tuck down into the bottom, so it goes this way, and that's where the border is. And I left the top open because sometimes, and I'll see if I can find one on the top of this here, every once in a while, and I think it's just due to my stitch tension. There's one that's a little bit, okay. So this stitch right here, hopefully I can get it to focus, right here, is, see how it's like a little bit loopy? I had quite a few of them on the one side, but not the other, so I'm not sure. It's perhaps also because I don't pay as diligent attention to my own projects as I do for other people. So it's possible that I was just kind of watching TV and going along and not paying attention, and that's what resulted in this. But I just wanted to cover that up. because I don't want, because it feels like a hair when you have a loop that gets pulled out of your crochet projects that's like always touching you in a weird place, and it doesn't matter if you push it down, it's going to go back up where it was because that's how it goes. So I did that to cover that. And like I said, it's going down on the bottom. It'll be tucked into shirts or like rumpled up, and no one's really going to see it. And I think it's fine. It's just I didn't want like scratchy bits on me or stuff that I'm going to constantly be irritated by, because if, I don't know, I want to enjoy when I'm out doing something. I don't want to be like, my clothes don't fit nicely and it's annoying me, or this is too tight, or this is too loose. I just want to go and have a good time, and I have tried this on and I feel like I can go and have a good time. So this one is finished. One matches my books, remember? I have more blue ones over there. I probably would take a nice picture with those. Anyway, not important. Finished. The other thing that I finished is my recycled polyester eco cozy. I'm trying to do this from memory because the dogs chewed up the label for the yarn. I'm at least watercolors. Maybe that's it. I'm not sure. I can't remember now exactly. It's on Ravelry. That's what we need to know. I finished this. This is the gift one. This is the very fun colored one. And as you can see, the top, all the same size. The bottom, all the same size. I just have to trim these off still, but it is finished. It is ready to go for the end of the year teacher gift. So as you can see, I paid very close attention to what I was doing with this. I listened to TV and watched this instead of watched TV and played with this at the same time. So you can see how there are a few things that are different. Also, I find that these really big yarns are more forgiving than the thinner yarns in terms of if you don't have uniform stitch tension, that you can kind of get away with a little bit more wavering tensions, I guess. In my personal experience, I'm sure that there's somebody out there that would tell you the exact opposite, but this is what I know. I typically have a fairly tight stitch in general. It's just, that's always been the way that I've crocheted. But yeah, so this is a nice, I feel like it's very vibrant. This is a roving wool as well, or it's not wool, it's yarn, it's not wool. It's polyester, acrylic. It worked together really nice. I used a Clover 9mm hook. I don't have it with me right now, sorry. And I don't know, I don't think I would buy this yarn again because while I love the colors and I do like how it went together, I don't think I would make anything else other than like little things like this with it. And to me, that's not ever a reason to keep buying a yarn. So if I wanted to make something big like this again, and I didn't have this yarn, which I probably won't, I could always put 2 strands of size 4 yarn together and get a similar thing. And then you can get like a really pretty marled texture with the wool as well, or the yarn. I'm sorry, I use yarn and wool interchangeably. And I know, like, I'm very aware that wool is, like, all wool is yarn, but not all yarn is wool. So I understand wool is what it's yarn could be made of, but you know, I'm sorry, I do use that unfortunately interchangeably because I think that was something that we used interchangeably when I was a kid, and I will say it without thinking. I apologize. I know this is not wool, it's yarn. Where was I going with this? Oh, right, to get the marled feel from the yarn. But all that being said, I don't regret purchasing this. I don't regret making this. I still have about 3/4 of a ball of this left over, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that because these large yarns they don't go as far. It's unfortunate fact of the matter is that if you want a good bang for your buck, something like a size 1 or a size 2, because while the balls are really small, they go so far. But we are finished that. I'm very happy with it. I'm going to wash and I am going to block this. And I'm going to write up some instructions for this to send along when end of the year comes, but I am very well ahead in that department for this particular project. I have another teacher gift that I need to make for my son's class. I'm not making this, I'll be making something else, and I haven't decided yet, but luckily because I'm finished this so quickly, I will be able to have some time to make something else. Hello friends, I'm sorry for this, that it's different, but I literally remembered that I finished something hours after the fact that I had recorded the other episode. So I'm just going to insert this clip here that you're watching it and let you know that I finished the bee sweater. and I have given it to the person to which it was intended, and she really, really likes it, and that's what makes me happy, is that she likes it, and I will never be making another bee sweater again. So that is a, what is it called? A bespoke piece from her Vagabond Heart. So that's the one and only, made just for her. So I'm going to insert a little clip that I made to show you the sweater, and I will preface it with, yes, it's silly. It is meant to be laughed at. It's meant to just be ridiculous, but I feel like it really, I wanted to show different parts of the sweater other than just like standing there. So yeah, enjoy.
First of all, what went through my mind is how stupid am I to actually volunteer for this? It was unbelievably painful.
And what I am working on this week, okay, so one of my very, very lovely commenters, and I love her channel, and I love chatting with her. She's just so sweet. Her name is Grace from Grace's World, and I have written down what she wrote me. Best thing I do is make myself a challenge for a day for a project I struggle with. And I thought, you know what, like that's really, really good advice. Like, really. And because our family is getting into a season of busyness, and I don't glorify busyness. I would like to preface that. I don't like saying, oh, we're so busy. Like, who's not busy? It's just more activities are ramping up now. So my son's involved in a sporting thing. My daughter is taking riding lessons. So we are just more active and not around as often. So I unfortunately don't have the same time to devote to these projects, which is fine. I'm not complaining at all. But it just means that I have to really use my crochet time wisely. So taking the advice from Grace, I decided that I was going to make the best that I could. So I told myself, with all of those squares that I had, that I'm going to weave the ends and trim the tails off of 20 per day. And then on the third day, so I would get, 20, 40, and then 15 done, because there's 55. Using the rest of the third day, I would be able to finish up crocheting these all together. So that's the challenge that I set out for myself. So I'll have to count these for you because I can't remember how many. But look at no tails, all nice and trimmed, and I have 19 of these all together done already. Because as I was going along, I found some of the other, and this was not including, okay, I guess technically, just let me explain. I just grabbed a handful of squares out of my other pile, my unfinished pile, and I was just kind of going along, and then I would count periodically as I was going along. But I found some of the ones that I had previously woven the ends on, but not cut the tails off. So when I found ones like that, I would just trim the tails off and add them to this basket, but I would grab another one that's a replacement for that, because I wanted to make sure that I had 20 done from the pile that needed to be done today. So I have, I think, 5 left now. So I'll be, 24 for today. So that's pretty good, I think. And then I will also have this evening to work on this. So I worked on these during my lunch hour to get them done. It went pretty quickly. So I'll show you an unfinished one. I mean, not that you need to like be demonstrated what an unfinished brownie square looks like, but in the interest of explanation, sometimes I need visual aids. So I'm just poking all the tails through the one side. So this is part of what I would do, is I would poke all the tails onto this side. So this would be considered the wrong side. This is where all the work would be done. And what I'm doing with this to try to keep these secure is that I tie, this one I don't tie because I use the method of I chain 3 and then I go back into the first chain and then I make all of the other chains to, so like there's 12 stitches in the one chain to make the granny square. I don't know, can you see? Like that. And then I always crochet around the tail. So this is the tail of the original one. It is locked in there. It's not coming undone. It will be fine. So that one I always crochet over it. And then I have the little baby tail sticking out. And then where I have the color changes here, I will tie So this is kind of awkward, isn't it? So I'll tie this one and this one in just a reef knot, square knot. I used to tie this knot in Girl Guide, so it's right over left and left over right. So I will tie it, and then once that I've tied all the ends except for this one together, because there's a pair for all of them, so there's three pairs of strings that go together. I tie those in a knot, in the reef knot, and then I'll take whichever is the longest color, and if there isn't a longest string on this, it's just whatever. And then I take it and I weave my needle through the knot that I have made. And so I kind of wiggle it like this, the needle through, and then I push it all the way through, and then I have a pair of pliers because it gets really stuck. And I will pull it through onto this right side. So I do that for those three, and then the end one, I just will put the needle in, and then I go through where I've gently tied it off here. So I'll take it this way with the needle, so it would look, you know, roughly like this. We'll just pretend. And then I would go back this way, and then if there's enough, I do go again. But this one, I'm not super worried as long as I go through the knot, the little knot on the top, because this will be crocheted together in some way. So yeah, I'm not super. And I mean, it's nice and clean on the other side, even when I pull the stitch through onto this side, because I try to pull it somewhat tight. Like I'll push it like this, and then I cut really close, and then we go like that, and then no one's the wiser where it is. So it looks good. That is one thing that I'm working on. But we're on track. We're on track to get it done. So it should be done by the end of this week. Next thing that I'm working on. I don't know why I want to make a bag, but I do. So I found a tutorial that was for a toddler bag, a boho toddler bag, I think is what it was called. And it was, oh gosh, probably about a third of this size so far. But I extrapolated and I continued doing my own, because I think it stopped right around here. But I just kept going to make it bigger. So what I want is, I had a hobo bag that I got from Matt and Nat, but I don't like the way that the shoulder straps are, because they always slip off my shoulders, which I've never had trouble with a bag like this before. And they're not long enough to do a crossbody or anything like that. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just try this. So this will be the front flap, and yeah, it's a little bit, you can see like the shape is a bit funny right now. This definitely will need to be blocked. I might spray starch it a bit. We'll see how the initial blocking goes, but it's going to be like the soaking block and like the million pins and everything in here. I will put the link to the tutorial in the description box below. So I'm going to have the front flap like this, and then on the finish, it'll have some tassels, I think. Okay, so I'm doing a row of bobbles right now, and then how much further am I going to go? I think I'll do one more set of this. So it's single crochets, 3 rows of single crochets, then the row of bobble stitch, and then, yeah, I think so. I might change my mind once I get this row finished and come back and see what it looks like, because I don't want something that's really giant. I want something that's just usual. I don't know, something big enough that I can like keep my stuff in. That's my main goal. And then for the body of this, I think I'm going to employ a double crochet, single crochet situation. So I'll probably still follow this like I did with, so any row that has the bobble stitch, I'll have a double crochet instead for the body of the bag, so that it has, it's just flat, because it's going to be way too much fabric if all 3 panels look like this, it's going to be all like blobbied out like that, and look, I don't think it's going to look very nice. This is Bernat Handicraft cotton. I got it at Michael's. It was $14.99. It's the 100% cotton. It's not organic. It's really fluffy, so it's got furs all over it. And as usual, I've lost the band for it, so I can't remember the color of it, like what it's called, but it's this really, it's off-white, a beige, a turquoise, and this light blue. It's really pretty. Like, I really like how this is turning out. I think it's so sweet and so pretty. Another thing I'm going to do with the body is, because this will be at some point, it'll be like this-ish, so it'll be flapped over, is that with the body, it'll have fewer stitches in the initial chain to make the body a tiny bit shorter than this, so that there is room for this to hang over, but not be like really far up the flap, you know, like the flap is going to be down over the majority of the body of the bag. And then I have to do the strap. So what I'm going to do for the strap, This is not part of the recipe for this, but it's just something I'm going to do. So I am very, very basic at Tunisian crochet. So I'm going to do that on the sides. Let's see, what can I use for example? Oh, this will be a good example. Okay. So just pretend this is 2 pieces that I have sewn the bottom together so far. And then, yeah, just bear with me. So the side will be sewn together right here on this, but we're using this as an example. So then, you know, this part would be open, kind of like a bucket. And then for this, because it will be, I'm going to make the stitches like this so that the sides touch each other, not that they're side by side. I'm going to crochet a little flap, probably about this long and about that wide. It somewhat will depend on how big this ends up, but that's sort of what I have in my head. So I make that, so let's pretend this is it. Make that, and then it'll fold over like that, and then I'll stitch a square through here that'll go through both sides so that it would make like this, so that something could go through there. Apologies for my terrible demonstrations, but I don't have anything else to show you right now that would demonstrate it very well. So I'm going to do that, and before I do that, I am going to go and see if I can find, I would like to not use plastic, I would prefer to use wood, but I am going to be looking for a ring that's made of wood, and failing that not wood, white plastic or off-white plastic or something like that. Or if I could find some kind of bead that's round like that, maybe that would go with this yarn. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with different situations. I guess worst case scenario is I could get my husband to make that for me because he's got all the tools, because it would just be like it would take a drill bit and plop out a piece like that, and then do a smaller one in the middle to make the ring, and then just sand it. I don't want to have to make him do that because he's busy, and that's such a menial task that, I mean, it's faster if he does it, but it's a pain. So if we don't have to do that, but that is my worst case scenario, is if I cannot find absolutely anything at all that would work. So I'll be making 2 of those, 1 for each side of the bag, so that'll have the rings in it right away before I sew the holes in, or sew them to the bag. And then I'm going to make a Tunisian crochet strap as well that will go over, and I'll see if I can find hardware that could make it adjustable, but I'm not super worried that it's adjustable. Right now I have a hobo bag. It's not even a hobo bag. It's this, I love the bag. It's green, and I got it from the bookstore where I work, and it's from Lao, and I believe it was handmade. There's like a little tag inside that tells me everything, but it's like fair trade, direct trade, like it covers all the bases of like no human trafficking and no human labor that's not fairly paid for and things like that. So I have that, and it's just this long bag that just hangs and has an elephant on it, and I don't mind that at all, and I think that would be fine because this isn't going to be terribly different. It's just the bottom will be round instead of square, and it'll have a flap on it because my bag doesn't have a flap on it right now. I feel like I talked a lot about that. I'm sorry. One thing that I am doing that is not crochet related whatsoever is that I have set up a fundraiser through the World Wildlife Federation, so the WWF with the panda, not with the chairs, and I am running 10K, and I would like to raise $75 for that. That's the minimum. I can raise more if I want, if I try hard. And it is to help have animals and everybody live harmoniously, and for animal welfare and things like that. So I will leave the link in the description box below if you're at all interested. There's absolutely no pressure whatsoever to donate to that, but that is something that I am doing in my personal life that, I don't know, I feel very pushed to conserve habitat and wildlife areas, because if there's nowhere for us to obtain resources, there are no resources. So we have to take care of the places that house the resources the best that we can, and that everything deserves to live in the same place. So there's not an exact location that was listed about where these resources would be going to. And by that, I mean, like, I don't know, like, if they're staying in the United States, I don't know if they're staying in Canada, I don't know if it's Europe. It could be just all over, because the WWF is a worldwide organization as far as I know. But yes, that is something that I am taking part in. So thank you so much if you do donate. if you donate, I will absolutely give you a special shout out in upcoming episodes. So, you know, I guess if that's incentive for you, but again, absolutely no pressure whatsoever. This is more just I'm sharing something that's important to me that I like doing. I'm just sharing that with you. That's all. That's all. I promise. And this is the last time I'm going to even bring it up, unless you donate, and then I will say, hey, thank you so and so. You're awesome. I would also really like to express my thanks to everyone who is so patient with my videos when it comes to the animals. Right now they're sleeping. I hope they stay sleeping for a while. I'm hoping. They were walking around a bit during the earlier filming in this, but they finally calmed down. So I hope it stays this way for a while. But I really do appreciate that you guys are so gracious when it comes to that, because I mean, I guess I could get after them, but I hate doing that sometimes, because they really, like, the dogs really love each other and they love playing with each other. So it's hard for me. It's like when the kids are having a good time, right? Like, I hate being like, well, guys, we gotta go do blah, blah, blah. Like, sometimes I just let them play just to get it out of their system, and then it's over faster. And they need exercise as well. And, you know, it is what it is. But thank you. I would also like to say I am super excited because as of recording, I am almost at the 400 subscriber mark, which is super exciting for me, and I'm so grateful for all of you who have subscribed. I would love to get to the 500 because then I can have the community tab, which I think would be fun, but you know, that's the pie in the sky for the moment. Yeah, I think that would be cool. So thank you so much to everybody who has subscribed, and thank you to all of you who had subscribed before. I am so grateful to all of you, and maybe this will be 400 by the time that I post this. I don't know, but I just want to say I am so grateful for the fact that you guys have subscribed, for the fact that people like the video, and that you guys comment. It's awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. Stay kind, stay beautiful, and follow your vagabond heart. Bye!